Welcome to DrillDown Dialogue. I'm Stephen Nance, the host and partner and vice president of DrillDown Solution, and I'm excited to share this time with a special guest and good friend, Greg Essenmacher. Greg, how are you today?
I'm great. Wait, I don't have like three titles like you. It's host and partner and co-founder and vice president and grand poobah. And how many titles do you have, man?
I just got to make myself look good. You don't have to. You already do look and sound good. Well, Greg, you're known amongst some, and then for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about your professional background, even before you started your current business. What was your background in dental and in the business world at large?
Yeah, so I mean, it goes back a ways. So, I was in the food and beverage industry and spent time there, transitioned into rental car. So spent a handful of years there as a corporate sales trainer and, you know, worked for a regional rental car company. And what they were really trying to do is expand and grow, and then they got bought out. And so at that point, because I was working as a corporate sales trainer, they had consultants that came in and taught and trained us as the corporate sales team on how to be able to present product lines to the consumers, whether it was at the airports, which everybody knows renting cars at the airport, right? Trying to upsell you on the loss damage waiver and all the other
Yeah,
right stuff. But then
yeah.
also in the local markets, because they were competing with the big boys in the local market, which is enterprise, right? And so
Hmm.
they dominated the market. And how do you differentiate in the market there? And so I did that for a handful of years, and then the company was sold. And from there, I got my first job in dental. I was looking in medical sales, but a dental job came available, and it was my foray into dental. And then in 2013, my second dental job, Straumann Group was launching a value line of implant. I happened to be one of the first employees, helped them build and grow that up to $100 million annually in sales. And that was in 2021. And then decided, you know what? We've been helping GP practices for a long time to build and grow and add this full arch, the fixed full arch, into their practices and add to top line revenue, bottom line profitability successfully. I can do this on my own. And so started my journey into GnA Consult that way, and have learned a ton and now have coaches that help teams to be able to capture, convert, and close leads, and really be able to supplement not only for single location practices, but groups and even some of the largest DSOs out there. And it's been just a ride like you wouldn't believe, my friend. And I can't wait to talk
Awesome.
about it.
Awesome. Forget the titles. You've got the resume that is very impressive. So that's awesome. So what are some either problems or areas of concern that you see in the dental industry or state of the industry right now from your perspective and what you do?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I look at the microcosm of what's happened in merger and acquisition in the last 3 or 4 years, especially in the full arch space, right? Because teeth in a day, the pie keeps getting bigger, right?
Yep.
There's more opportunity in this space. According to Polaris Healthcare, dental implants and the entire space, has grown from 1.3 to 1.6 billion dollars a year annually over the last 3 years. And the full arch space has grown to nearly $900 million last year. So it's a huge industry. The
Mhm.
challenge is more and more players are coming into the marketplace. So the dilution and then the driving down of the actual per arch. And the reason why I say that is in 21, there is a big like battle between the multiples of how much could you pay in multiples with private equity money.
Yep.
And what they realized very quickly is that the turnover, right? The turnaround of that money wasn't as easy as let's just buy, right? In the general dentistry side, it was four walls for a practice and it was going to turn into a 4 to 8x, no worries, same store sales. And then in the
Mhm.
full arch, they were paying ridiculous multiples. Well, what
Mhm.
we're seeing more and more is that there needs to be a balance, right? Balance your portfolio just like you do in the private world with your own, in your own, retirement accounts. And it's same in dental.
Yeah.
And so it's not just that top line revenue, shiny keys of how many arches do you do, how much revenue do you bring in, but what is the balance of the portfolio and really making sure that you're insulating yourself from the whims of or the economic imbalances or whatever the case may be. So it's really the smart money, the smart revenue, the smart fill in the blank. that really makes a difference instead of just the grinding and the beating down your teammates and reducing churn rate of turnover. So that's really, I mean, that's a really big answer to what you had asked,
Mhm.
but it's all of those pieces together that we see so much at GnA Consult in helping our clients rather than just going in and being a coach to revenue, which there's so many out there, right? The others in the
Mhm.
space that we got to remember that there's humans behind it and ultimately patients and the patient experience and the patient reveal. That's ultimately what it's all about.
Yeah. So smart money, smart investment, which applies to DSOs buying dental practices, but it also applies to a single owner, single doc, and what they're spending their practice money with. You invest in your own business. That's likely the best investment you can do. But what you invest in your business is that's a very loaded thing, right? So talk to us a little bit about that and where you come in.
Yeah, sure. And it's really, I have to really just come clean here, Stephen. It's a lot about, for me, being honest about the fact that needing to consistently respond to the market and the needs. And let me explain what I mean by that. As an independent business owner, changing our product lines that met the needs of the clients, whether it's the independent practices that needed, a shift and adjust rather than you got to take the whole sum of the 360 end-to-end solution that we were offering initially at GnA Consult,
Okay.
or being able to piecemeal and say you really need help with converting the leads into consultations that show up and are ready to hear your message, or not just for the single practice owners, right, or the emerging groups, but these very large DSOs where what is your major pain point? It's listening first. Just like with practices, it's listening first. What is your particular market segment saying to you? And responding with that. Instead of going out and saying, you know what, I really want to do clear aligner therapy. This is what I love to do. I mean, I really want to straighten teeth and make it all pretty and beautiful. Well, there might not be a market for that in your particular
Mm-hmm.
area, but
Mm-hmm.
there might be a need for in another auxiliary service like sleep therapy,
Yeah.
or there might be implant, like whatever it is. And it doesn't necessarily dictate of listening to what's out, but knowing and understanding and then trying it, and whatever works, build on that, and whatever's not working, discard it, but build on what is working. And that's what I had to do in my own business, and that's what we really advise clients on, and that's why the discovery process is so critically important, and that's why not all money is good money or the same money. And that's really where we differentiate at GnA Consult with clients that we work with, just like you do with clients of yours, right? It's customized, but it's within a framework. And that's why we do have a registered trademark on our framework, because
Yeah.
it's not scripts. Scripts don't work, right? Saying you have to say it this way in a cookie cutter way, I'm sorry, but it just does not work because you're going to end up sounding like somebody else and not like your natural self. We're
Yep.
dealing with humans here
Yep.
and the human experience, the patient experience, but with humans behind it. And I think when we start to lose that aspect of it, that's when we start to get disassociated from what we're really here to do, which is provide health care to
Yeah.
human beings. And that's really the most important piece for us as we continue to keep that as our North Star and delivering really good quality coaching and consulting to our clients in the full arch and implant space.
Okay. So where you focus on the full arch and implant space, do you sometimes have prospective clients come to you where you look at their practice and evaluate their needs and find that they're not a fit for, or what they need is their market is not in that implant and full arch space, and turn clients away sometimes?
Well, here's the thing. So if there's not alignment, the most important thing is to be have some self-awareness to say there is an alignment. And most of the time, it's not so much of turning them away and saying we can't help you. It's, we might not be the best fit, but let me introduce you to. Because
Yeah.
I've been in the industry long enough and built enough relationships, I don't see others out there necessarily as competition, right? Because the
Yeah.
pie keeps getting bigger, even in our own space of full arch, but in other areas in the auxiliary services. And if they've come to me as somebody that they've been introduced to from an industry partner or from a referral, some way, some shape or form, they're looking to build and grow, right? And it might not be that they're ready for, that's one, or they might not be a good match or fit for the services or products that we're offering. And that's
Yeah.
okay too, right? Some simple acts of kindness of, you can certainly have a conversation and say, let me share with you what I see, what I know to be true. And
Yeah.
that's something that we can all do, right? I know that being a part of a mastermind group, and you can have 3 or 4 individuals that literally provide on the surface, in categories, in a vertical, the same
Yep.
thing. However,
Yep.
the delivery process and the mechanism to be able to deliver it can be very, very different. And it
Yeah.
takes time to be able to ask questions and do exploratory work and listen to know, is it really a good fit? Now, Stephen, this was not the situation 4 years ago when I launched the company. It was more about, oh, wait, you want to give me money? Great, I'll take it.
Yeah,
And there are
sure.
still some out there that'll do that. And that's okay. I'm not knocking anyone's business model. But when there's more alignment, then the results tend to come in a more organic way. So then we can actually provide the systems and processes and exit stage left. And that's really what's most important as well. That if somebody wants to be a part of your brand, of your organization, of your practice, of your group long term, then the consideration is certainly gain the expertise, but then consider bringing somebody into your organization full time. And some aren't at a place to be able to afford that, but at least have that conversation of what is that vision 3 to 5 years from now. And everybody's, not everybody, but most people struggle with that, oh, well, what's the vision 3 to 5 years from now? But if you don't at least start to consider what that looks like, and I know in your space you do that all the time, right? You're constantly a drill down looking at, okay, so where do you want to be? What do you want to be when you grow up, right? You're
Yeah.
having those conversations because you almost have to know, well, what's your strategy? When do you want to retire? What is your goals? What do you plan on doing 3 to 5 years from now? Are you looking to sell? Are you looking to acquire? Are you looking to expand? Are you looking to stay this? What is it you want? And we can help you get there. It's the same with what we do because whatever those answers are guides how we're going and lead because it has to do with team dynamics. And that because if somebody is doing 3 to 5 arches a month
Uh-huh.
and we come in and their goal is to do 10 to 15 arches a month, the dynamic in the practice and the time allocation for that particular clinician, considerations absolutely have to be made for, so are you going to do less general dentistry, or are you considering bringing an associate for that piece, and in what capacity? Do you just want an associate, or are you going to give them a path into ownership? Are you looking to bring, I mean, there's so many different ways to approach it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the best expert at being able to give that advice, but I certainly have people who have helped others in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And on what does that look like to be able to skill them up in their general dentistry side? And then what does it look in team dynamic side with assistants and clinical? And I mean, I could go on for days
Yeah.
of what are all those ripple effects. And so when you said if it's not a good match, it might be that those other pieces need to develop first before we would be a good match to scale up.
Yeah.
That's why those conversations ahead of time have to happen. And I'm sure you have those same types of conversations, do you not, with your clients?
Yeah, and a lot of times people will refer people to us where, it's a family or friend, but they don't have a business or they're not a dentist, they don't have a business either. And there's not as much of the tax planning, not as much of the value we can provide. I usually present here, this is what we can do for you, this is how much we would charge, but you know, I try to, give people either a heads up that, if you're used to going to HR Block or TurboTax, um, that may be sufficient for what you need at this stage of your career. Um, or at least, by looking at our pricing, they can tell that we're not a fit for those types of clients, and that's okay. I mean, I'm willing to help anyone, and there's low hanging fruit and tax strategies that anyone can take advantage of, and it's always good, I think, to have a check-in meeting in October, November, have a planning meeting, even if there's not a ton of advanced strategy we can do. Let's at least kind of know what your April is going to look like. But if that's all we're doing for most people, that they don't necessarily need the higher end service that we provide. But also, we get a lot, and you probably get this too, where you talk to someone and either it's a price concern or something else, and then a year later. they're coming to us and say, okay, we're ready to work with you. And that does that happen to you?
So it's an interesting story that you share that because we've had a number of clients over the last 6 to 12 months who have come to us with a need because they're newer into full arch and they may have done like one or two arches and they're doing maybe 80 or $100,000 in collections or up to 120 on a good month. And they're small business owners, and for them to be able to take on a customized type of coaching package that's really going to get their treatment coordinators to the next level or those that are handling the leads and whatnot, to be able to take that on it's a lot for them to be able to consider, and they're not ready, they're not at that point yet. After hearing this for a period of time, and the senior advisor to my business, who's the founding COO of ClearChoice, really putting our heads together and saying, well, what's the greatest need for them? And it's, well, the greatest need for them is to send somebody in for an influx of cash to show them what is possible with what they already
Yeah.
have existing with the leads coming in. And so found the person who knows how to do that, has been doing it for a while, and we implemented that strategy. And within months, have now completely flipped the script and infusing cash into their practice, showing what's possible, taking that money of that what we call the rescue plan, and they take a small portion of that influx of cash and use it for the training, and now they're using that training to be able to continue and have the continuity of revenue coming into their practice, right? That was the responsiveness to the marketplace and listening
Yeah.
more than this is what it is. Here's your cookie cutter approach.
Yeah.
This is what you have to do. And so, yes, 100%. And it was one of those, you may not be ready yet, but if you're not ready yet and you see that over and over again, how am I, as a responsible business owner, being responsive to those clients instead of like, yeah, you're not ready, go figure it out? It's like, no, like figure something
Yeah.
out for them. And it's really been a fun challenge and exercise, and now vertical of product line that really solves a huge need for those that are invested like in doing this, but just didn't know the way to get there, or that leap of faith felt a little too big. And we've been able to solve that
Yeah.
for them. And that's really exciting.
Well, I've found having connections in the dental industry where you can, you know, refer someone else that can help a client with a specific need that is outside of my realm,
Mm-hmm.
is such a value that we have working in the dental space. I want to just kind of make sure you get a chance to highlight with GnA Consult. Um, is your approach, it's not a cookie cutter approach, is it consulting to find a solution to support their goals? Is it marketing implants? Is it implementation, all of the above? Tell us a little bit about kind of your services and your approach.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the opportunity to do so. Really, what we're doing is we're helping anyone who's looking to increase the number of arches that they're doing in their practice or their group, taking what they're doing now and maximizing that. Whether it is sending in one of our on site coaches, trainers to go in and sell cases over the course of 2 to 3 days, right? We call it our rescue plan, right? Doing more with exactly what they're doing right now, the
Yeah.
leads, the marketing, and everything right now, going in and selling cases, right? Going in with their team and showing them exactly what the potential is. Because to tell you the truth, most practices are closing at 15 to 20%, at least for those leads that are coming in from direct to consumer marketing, from Google Ads, from Facebook,
Uh-huh.
whatever the case may be. And being able to see that potential with that influx of revenue into their practice, then they see what we do at GNA. And then a lot of times they'll take a look at, okay, well, I want now our treatment coordinator to be able to do that. Show us how to do that. And that's really where some of the coaching plans come into place that are customized with our own registered trademark process. So that's the majority of what we do. If they're looking for marketing help or whatever the case may be, whether it's some accountability for the existing marketing company they're using, or using some of our own that we have, that access to some marketing that we have, either way for us, that's really, I don't want to say irrelevant, but it's opportunities that we have as well to be able to solve, whether it's capturing the leads, converting those leads, or closing on the leads, whether it's in office or whether it's virtual. We have pretty much something for everyone within the framework because we believe meeting clinicians where they're at, practices where they're at, and helping them to uplift to be able to serve more patients is what we need to be doing. And we're doing it on a regular basis, and we love what we do.
Awesome. Yeah, loving what you do just shows the value too. If you didn't love what you were doing, you didn't believe in it, that would be a problem. I want to go back a little bit. You said that the implant space is about a $900 million market. Did I hear you right?
Full arches, the actual implant space is $1.6 billion a
1.6.
year
Okay.
annually right now. Yeah,
So even bigger.
according to Polaris Healthcare. Yes.
So if you divide that by, there's roughly 200,000 dentists in the US. Not everyone does implants, and that's just dentists, not practices. That's a lot of opportunity if someone is not doing implants or full arch or not doing as much as they could be doing. That's a lot of business opportunity, isn't it?
So there's the opportunity out there is significant for those that are looking either to do it, do more of it, or grab their share of the pie. It's all about differentiation, right? What do you do better or different than the gal or the guy or the group down the street? And
Mm.
that's what's critically important and what we really hone in on with all of our clients that we work with. That's the key. It's the same for myself and my business. It's just like it is for you and your business.
Mhm.
It's the same for, the Seattle Seahawks that just won the Super Bowl. It's for
Yeah.
anyone. What do you do better, differently than everybody else? And how do you stand out? I mean, it goes back to the days when I was watching Sesame Street, like which one is not like the other? And I won't sing for
Yeah.
you here because I don't want to lose all your listeners, right? Which one's not like the other? And it's really, we got taught that as very young children, right? How do you differ? How do you stand out from the crowd in a positive way? Right? It's good to be inclusive, but how do you stand out from what you do? And that's really what's critically important. And it's not just like, oh, we treat everybody like family. It's not that, right? Because there are ways that you stand out from everybody else that's around you. So it's not so much about competition. It's really about elevating your own experience and what you share and making sure everybody's bought into that. And that's a part of leadership. And leadership is critically important if you're going to be successful in implants and implant dentistry and full arch.
So for a practice that is maybe new to the full arch or implant space, uh, they've done a few, they've taken the necessary coursework, training, but they don't have a lot of, or they can't readily identify for you what their competitive edge is. How do you
Mhm.
help them find a way to differentiate themselves? Or in some cases, do you say you need to get a little bit more training and then you can do this more? Or how do you approach that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the reason why it's a great question is it's not one of those, sign up with us and we'll help you for X amount of dollars for X amount of time. The simple answer is, be a consumer of information, right? If you have the clinical training, this is now on the other side of the realm. And whether it's on, my website and going and finding all the free media content to be able to find this yourself, your unique selling proposition, or marketing companies call it your unique value proposition, or be a consumer. There's tons of content information and
Yeah.
there's plenty out there where you can find this information and explore for yourself. Tons of free content information. It's out there. And if you want something, reach out. I'll send to you what I share with those when I do courses and speaking and workshops all over the country in all different venues. It's fairly straightforward. Just reach out. I'm happy to share that information with you. It's not a big secret. It's not
Yeah.
about a lack of access to information for any of your listeners. It's about filtering that information and knowing what is, I don't want to say good or bad because I don't want to judge it, but what is really useful information when you're
Yeah.
newer on your journey of what has worked for others, right? It's okay. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right? Just as I know others are imitating some of the stuff that we're doing, and that's okay too, because honestly, there are a lot of things that I'm inspired by, right? That have
Mhm.
evolved
Yeah.
out of from others at GnA Consult. It's okay, right? The
Yeah.
ultimate goal is to help more patients. And even if you're new to the game, even if you're new to full arch, even if you're new to this area, you're seeing patients that desperately need our help. There's over 36 million Americans that are edentulous. Let that sink in for a second. over 36 million Americans that are edentulous. That's nearly 10% of the population. We can do better and help more. And anyone listening, any doctor listening, any practice listening, any assistant office manager, anyone listening, you can be a part of that to help more.
Awesome. Yeah. And going back just to the value, I mean, being an accountant, the numbers stand out to me.
Yeah.
Uh, I get a lot of clients that when we're doing tax planning, they're wanting to know what equipment they can buy to get a depreciation write-off and such. Um, and and I always say, if you need the equipment, let's get it in this year, unless we're looking at next year and we're deciding next year may be a better year for tax reasons, then do that. But a lot of times I've seen it happen so much where people buy the equipment, they get a tax savings, but they're stuck paying a debt on that for 5 years, and they're really not seeing a big return on investment, at least that I can see from my perspective. And it's too bad. There seems to be this mindset of get a tax deduction, write it off. There's pressure from salespeople at a conference or something like that to buy whatever the equipment is. Um, but this is something, if you invest with GnA Consult for as an alternative to buying a piece of equipment, you can write that off. But you're getting a value that is really, I mean, there's numbers backing it up that this could make a huge impact on your business and increase your profitability going forward. So
Yeah,
I
I
just
mean
wanted
the
to point
eight to
that
ten.
out.
Yeah, I mean the 8 to 10x, like almost instantaneously within 30 to 60 days of working with us is very real, very tangible. Working with our coaches, that is sending in one of our treatment coordinators to be able to use the existing marketing and leads that you have is far beyond that. It depending on where you're at in your evolution of doing full arch, it can be anywhere between 8 and 10x. We have some of the practices that have done 30, 40x on that investment because it's just a rev share piece. There's no other costs involved other than a little bit for the travel. It is unreal. And then seeing the potential helps the rest of the practice and the treatment coordinators to look at and say, this is where our potential is, and to be able to see that, because sometimes if you can't see it, you can't believe it. It's kind of like, the Native Americans on the shore when the Mayflower was coming over and they couldn't believe that ships were actually coming from the water. It's the same. If you can't see it, you don't believe it. And once you see it, then it's like, wait, this is possible. Great. Now it's show me, teach me, let me. This is our
Yeah.
philosophy, right? STL. I love acronyms, right? The STL files from an iOS scanner, right? Show me, teach me, let me. That's what we really foundationally share, so that they can actually, the first is show me, like show me that it's actually possible here, rather than that we don't have those kinds of patients, our patients don't have any money, all the built-in
Mhm.
excuses that are
Yeah.
built in. And it's not because they're bad people, it's because they just don't know that it's possible with what you have. And that's what's really critically important that we see day in, day out with clients that we're working with.
Awesome. Well, Greg, I've really enjoyed this. Has been a great discussion. For people who want to learn more, what's the best way to get in touch with you or find GNA Consult?
Yeah, you can just Google GnA Consult if you like, or go to our website. I love when people go to our website and learn more and listen more about what I share, because there's so many good, valuable resources on there. And it's dental consult, the number four, the letter U.com. Or if you can figure out how to spell my last name, Greg Essenmacher, you can look at any socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and just go on there and start looking at information, right? If it vibes for you, what we share, what we teach, what you can learn, then reach out on any of those platforms or reach out directly to me, and I'll be happy to have a conversation with you, set up an exploratory call. I'm happy to be able to have some conversation. And if you do, and if you come through and you mention this particular episode on Drill Down, then we'll be happy to be able to do a couple of consults or a couple of audits of your calls, which is your conversion calls. We'll be happy to do a few of those at no fee, so you can actually hear what we would
Awesome.
do to improve your conversions of your leads into consultations that show up and are ready to hear what you have to say to be able to help those patients.
Well, that is great, Greg. Thank you so much. And thank you for being with me and with our guests today. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I think there's a lot of value with what you do, and I appreciate you and look forward to more discussions to come.
Yeah, I love what you're doing for all of your clients and all of your practices. I mean, being able to give tax strategies and not just for the clients that actually become clients, but I know how you treat those that you have conversations with. And if it's a matter of, hey, stick with what you're doing and you might be
Yep.
ready for us when it's time, and just all of the resources that you enable, I give you and your whole organization a lot of credit because you treat your clients and prospects who aren't even clients yet the same that we do at GnA Consult. And I just want to lift that up because there are a lot of good companies out there and good people out there, and you all are the same. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.